After 6 long-awaited seasons, and arguably one of the biggest issues in rank that's not literally exploiters or balance related issues has finally been mostly fixed. Whether you're a top player or just a casual, if you've played rank long enough, then you've easily experienced probably the dumbest thing that's ever been seen in this game. Of course, I'm talking about Q dodging, but if you don't play ranked, then you might be a little confused on what exactly I'm talking about. So I'm gonna give a quick explanation to catch those people up. So what is Q dodging? Q dodging is a method where players intentionally avoid queuing with or against skilled opponents, instead waiting for easier matchups to gain higher ranks unfairly. It exploits matchmaking to dodge good teams and secure easier games. But you might be asking, how can a team just avoid any players at their own will? Isn't it impossible to see who you queue before the match starts? While that is true, there's a very easy way around that, and that is what teams have been abusing all this time to Q dodge. If you want to get into a rank match, then 3 requirements are going to have to be met first. 1. Find a queue. 2. Teleport into the game. And 3. Load into the match. The moment you queue, the game attempts to find other players that are similar to your rank. If no other teams of that rank are online, then the matchmaking resorts to what we can call Phase 2, where if no one of your rank is online, or if players of your rank are already in a different game, then the game attempts to find higher or lower ranked players than you, depending of your MMR. If all else fails, then the matchmaking resorts to what we can call Phase 3, where the game just places you against solo queues because there's no one else to play against, or your MMR is just so bad that you play against solo queues. That is why low ranks are able to queue much faster than high ones. There are simply just more gold players than there are nightmare players. But if 2 nightmare teams queue at the same time, then they'll pretty much queue each other instantly. Moving on to step 2, this one is a lot less complicated. As long as you don't get a fake queue, you'll be teleported into the match and set into the loading screen. As to what causes fake queues, I don't really know. I think it's just a server related bug, but it's pretty rare nonetheless. Once both of these requirements are met, the game moves on to step 3 and checks if there's at least 4 players on each team to begin the match. If there are, then the game continues as normal. So how are Q dodgers able to manipulate the matchmaking system to basically cheat their way to Nightmare? Well, Bedwars actually created a failsafe. If 2 or more players disconnect or do not load into the match, then the requirements are not met and the game will simply cancel. But this failsafe is the reason why teams are able to Q dodge in the first place by abusing a bug called tab glitching. If you right click and hold the Windows icon in the white bar on the corner of your screen, it just completely freezes your Roblox and prevents your game from updating. As you can see here, I jump and start the glitch, and it just completely freezes my screen. Here, you can see on Gorilla's POV, I'm literally just floating in the air. But the minute I let go of right click, the game updates my current position and I fall on the ground. As you can see here, if I try and load into a game, but I start tab glitching, it doesn't actually load me in. So let's skip forward about 30 seconds, and when I let go, I finally load in the game. So, what a team does is once they queue, they have 2 players holding the white bar so they don't get loaded into the game. The other 3 players load in, and if they queue low ranks, then the 2 people tabbing load in the match. However, if they queue good players, then the 2 other players will continue tabbing until the failsafe activates. Then at that point, they are free to load in because the match already cancelled. And they do this over and over and over again until the phase 2 and 3 conditions are met and they eventually get Nightmare in the most Mickey Mouse way possible. You can imagine how this makes ranked completely terrible to play, especially for top players because they are just gonna get dodged every game. If you are even just a decent player, then you can literally go hours without getting a single game and there's nothing you can do about it. Alright, that was a long explanation, but I want to further talk about how bad Q dodging has been. So I'm gonna give you a mini history lesson. It's time we go back. All the way back to season 7.
Run that back.
Now, Q dodging has actually been a thing since beta season, believe it or not. Way back in the day, if you queued a hacker or a sweaty team, you could literally just slash Bedwars in the spectator box, and you wouldn't lose any RP. Now, obviously, this was not intended, so it was quickly fixed. And the game didn't cancel back then, so nobody ever really cared. Still thought it was cool to mention, since Q-dodging has technically been a thing since the start of the game. The modern day version of Q-dodge starts in Season 7. Believe it or not, there was a time where everyone hated dodging, and barely anyone ever used it in the exception that you queued a hacker. This can be seen with the Bacon is clone situation. Nowadays, Bacon is respected as a top player, but in Season 7, he was public enemy number 1. He was the first person to abuse Q-dodging to get Nightmare with it, which made everyone actually hate this guy. But all I have to say is that he was ahead of his time. It wasn't as big of an issue in Season 7, 8, and 9, as long as your name wasn't Cat, Wavy, or Godlike. No, seriously. If you think Q-dodging is bad now, they've had to deal with it for 6 seasons. But as time goes on, Q-dodging starts to get worse and worse, to the point where the game becomes unplayable, everyone starts to abuse it, and it becomes a legitimate viable way to get Nightmare. Don't believe me? Well, let me tell you about a little story. This is Chris Sussy, and back in Season 12, he was the first person in the entire world to hit Nightmare, meaning he was the top 1 player during this time. So, how did he get Nightmare? How did he reach the ultimate goal before anyone else? Let me give you a hint. It involves holding the white bar. This guy was known as the king of the Q-dodge in Season 12. Now, I don't know if he still plays, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was still one of them dirty Q-dodgers. Was Chris Sussy at least a good player? No. Here's a clip of him messing up the Q-dodge and then proceeding to lose the game in 1 minute. But let's use an even more modern example. Since the birth of Q-dodging, it had been increasing at a slow, linear rate. I'd estimate that in Season 7, maybe around 3% of the top 200 were actual Q-dodgers. But in Season 12 and 13, there has been such a rise of Q-dodging that it's basically tripled. As of May 19th of Season 13, there are currently 162 Nightmares. After doing some of my own research and talking to a handful of other top players, I was able to figure out that out of the 162 accounts that are currently Nightmare, 87 players have Q-dodged their way to Nightmare. That is 53% of the leaderboard. For every 1 player who gets Nightmare legitimately, another person gets it by Q-dodging. But all of this makes me wonder, why does Q-dodging exist? Let me be more specific. Well, when you take a deeper look into the failsafe that Bedwars has put in place, it's very rare for not 1 but 2 players to naturally disconnect. And teleport fails are also very rare and probably happen like once every 50 games. The only thing this actually helps are solo and duo queues because sometimes they just won't get any teammates on their team. I don't think the developers had the intention for this failsafe to be used for Q-dodging. If their goal was to be able to cancel games before the match, then they probably would have added a different system for that. So, should the failsafe be removed? No, actually, because I think Q-dodging is really important for one thing and one thing only: hackers. No matter what you do, exploiters are unavoidable, but Q-dodging has created one of the best fixes for cheaters. I am completely okay with people dodging hackers, and I've talked to other anti-cheat moderators and they have confirmed you are allowed to dodge hackers. The problem occurs is when you're using it to dodge real teams. But this changes everything. This creates the perfect solution. Repeated offenses of Q-dodging now has the actual punishment of getting temporarily banned from Bedwars while still giving you the opportunity to dodge hackers. At this point, Nightmare isn't really an achievement anymore, it's just a number next to your name. When half the players dodge their way to the top, the rank loses all meaning. It doesn't reflect skill or dedication like it used to. Season 10 was the last season when getting Nightmare actually meant something. Now, it's been more of a chore than anything else. But with these new rules in place, maybe, just maybe, the competitiveness that made rank what it is could return. At this point in time, I had basically lost all hope for rank, but it finally seems like it's taken a step forward. All we can do is wait for Season 14. Will the next season defy the odds? Will Season 14 break the cycle of terrible balance that has defined Bedwars rank? Or will rank continue to go down its current path of failure until its awaited collapse? That's for us to find out. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time.